request for opioid fund distribution by Speranza, also by the ARC, both of which were related to transportation. And so we adjourned our meeting briefly to see if there was anything we could do to combine those requests. And I am not sure if we have Jennifer Sturgis on the call.
No, she was going to abstain from this discussion in this meeting.
Okay. So she was who we were hoped to get some information from. What happened was Ms. Sturgis at the last meeting said, well, we have an option for a matching grant for transportation that, if we got opioid funds for, let's say, $50,000, the grant would give us $50,000. And we were trying to figure out how could we make that work to help the ARC and not leave that money on the table. So if Ms. Sturgis isn't going to be available to tell us how that would work, does anyone have any other discussion about what we need to do with these two requests?
I believe Jeannie and Brittany, oh, now they went back in. They were on.
We're going there.
Okay, there they are.
There they are.
Sorry about that. Sorry, we're trying to figure this out.
Okay.
No, you're good. Can you tell us, I know Jennifer called me, but the proposal idea that you guys had or that your board approved?
So we proposed that Speranza get what we asked, which is the 50,000, and then in turn we would be willing to work with ARC by donating our 15 passenger van and our 2014 Chrysler Town and Country, our red van.
And if they could receive whatever additional.
Yeah, and then whatever additional you guys would want to allot to them, that's not for us to offer.
Right.
Okay, so any questions or discussion about that proposal?
How many miles are on each of your vans, Speranza?
Hang on. Okay, so the 15 passenger van is a 2005 Ford Econoline. Mileage on it is 156,129. The 2014 Chrysler Town and Country, our red van, is 177,607.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
And Judge Day, I might suggest that we ask Speranza questions, and then after that, maybe let the ARC present. Maybe we might consider them both at the same time.
Absolutely. So anyone have any questions for, I think the ARC submitted before Speranza. Anybody have any questions for the ARC and their request? Mike, you're muted.
Yeah,
there you go.
Thanks. Is this on the first request or the updated one that I got this earlier today?
What do you think? The updated one?
The updated. I think it's
Yeah,
the
the
updated one, Mike.
Should be.
Okay. I guess, what does that fund? What does that amount fund? How many vehicles?
So in our initial request, just to get started with this, we had asked, we were looking at purchasing a vehicle for 60,000. We would like to hire a driver that's dedicated to this. And again, these are all rough estimates. The breakdown of the 150,000 was for the driver, the insurance and plates, gas, and then just some general maintenance. This would allow us to get started with the vehicle since we've never had one before, and get a year of working with it under our belt with these funds. And then when we do our projections for the next, years out, then we can incorporate those costs into our yearly budget. This, the initial request that we're asking from you guys is just to help us get everything started with a vehicle, with a driver, and all the things that entail with that.
And does that, I think it was 50 for the salary. is that including like a benefits package?
No, it's just we would 1099 the person, just to save us a little bit there. So we wouldn't take out and hold, taxes out or anything like that. It would be a 1099 contract deal with a driver.
And that person would be the sole driver.
That person, and then we would also want to go ahead and have our two directors, Donald and Philip, would also be allowed to drive it, just in case there was another, incident or reason. I mean, right now our guys are using their personal vehicles, which creates a ton of liability for us, and our insurer hates it. So we're trying to, tie up those loose ends.
Yeah. And what did you use to come up with the gasoline budget?
So Donald and I were so keep in mind, we have 30 guys, roughly at all times. And I can show you our statistics and averages on that. That included, everything from doctor's appointments to meetings. Hickory used to do their IOP classes at our facility, and that's no longer happening. I think they're doing them over maybe at the justice system now. So anyway, there's going to be a lot more running around, if you will, and then also just helping to getting guys back and forth to work. So we were trying to justify that dollar amount based at $3 a gallon and kind of roughed out some. Again, we've never done this before, so we're trying to be conservative but realistic as well as to what we are going to be actually spending.
I think your gas budget is pretty hefty.
Okay.
That's a quite a bit for fuel. I mean, just figuring how much driving you're doing in town versus out of town, and what vehicle you have and what the miles per gallon are.
So we would be driving this out of town as well. We have quite a list of places that refer clients to us as well. So just keeping that in mind, it wouldn't just be in town driving. I mean, the majority of it would be, yes, but would have, I mean, it could even be as much as once a week to go and drop someone off or pick up someone who's leaving an addiction center coming to, or an in-treatment facility coming to our facility.
Okay.
Go ahead, Donald.
What about recovery works? Have you guys looked at taking that as well? Or because I know at one point I thought that you guys were in the process of getting approved for that, and I'm just not sure where that landed.
So we are approved for Recovery Works. We've been approved with them for some time. Our struggle with that is whether or not it's necessary. So we do a really good job of getting our guys out there and working. And I think our process is very different from what Speranza does with their clients. Within 2 weeks, we're receiving rent and income from our clients. And for the amount of paperwork and time, et cetera, that is involved with Recovery Works, our board is just not convinced that we may need to do that. I mean, I get it that there's some grant money available on the table. I mean, currently right now, yes, we're approved with Recovery Works.
Right, because it would be free for clients, at least like for a certain period of time. So, okay, I guess my concern there is that clients are having to pay when the state may pay for them.
Correct.
That
And that could be the problem with that is from running it from a business side is you may have to wait a month or so before you get any of those funds. Then in the meantime, then you've got a client that falls, through the cracks or I shouldn't say not fall through the crack, but decides to leave or, does something that we have to kick them out, then you are struggling to run down that money. To me, it's a hassle is what it is. You don't get, and when you send that invoice in, you're not getting paid the next week. We don't have the staff on site, nor are we funded by anyone else to monitor or keep track of all of those monies that are moving around. And honestly, our pay of $125, I think, is also a skill set that Philip and Donald use in their curriculum with the guys that show that, hey, you got to get out there. We got to get you working again. Their mindset in that is critical for them and getting them paying their bills, being responsible again. We've got we've got some guys there that have racked up a ton of money because we do get them working right away. And then that leads into a whole nother set of skill sets that we have to work with them on is, I've never had $5,000 in my checking account before. What the heck am I supposed to do with this? And then, keeping them out of things of gambling and other things. I mean, it's a whole, and like I said, being a good steward, I mean, I get the state has the money, but still, again, that's all of our tax dollar money. And if we don't need it, I don't know why we would take it.
Fair.
Any other questions for the ARC? Any questions regarding Speranza's request?
Can I make one other comment if you don't mind, Judge?
Sure.
And this is just a suggestion on our part. And if we missed out on opportunities to come and talk with you about, I guess what I would like to say is I wish that all three of us, the three, Foundation, Speranza, and the ARC could get together and really discuss what the best use of all of these funds would be. I feel like we're the three pillars in the community, and I think we've proven ourselves to all of you that one, we're here to stay, and two, we have a really good track record. And looking at what all of our needs are as a whole, and again, I don't know what your dollar amount is that you have to give out and how long this money lasts and all of that, but I feel like if we could come together and have a forum where we could all discuss what our needs are and where we see ourselves going, and maybe fill in with this opioid money across the board, to me, that makes more sense than instead of us just trying to come up with a project here and there as to, we could use the funds for this or we could use the funds for that. I think there's a lot more overall planning that should and could probably be done with these funds.
Well, that's one of the reasons we adjourned our meeting last Friday, for everybody to get together, put your heads together and figure out how can we make the best use of the money. It's good to know that the vans are as high miles as they are and old as they are. I don't know that's a fair trade to say, well, give us money and we're going to give them things they're just going to inherit
Right.
mechanical problems. If they were newer vehicles, if they're lower mile vehicles, that's kind of what we wanted everyone to present to us. And I'm not sure that's a viable option like maybe we thought it was.
Yeah.
May I ask
So-
what our allocation for funds are with this whole opioid grant? Is that something you can share?
Yeah, but this is all public. As of today, there's two types of funds: unrestricted, which means you could spend them on anything, and restricted, which means it has to be related to opioid issues. There has to be trying to think of the word. Judge Bailey, help me out.
Nexus, that's a great word. Thank
There has
you.
to be a nexus. It's even better than that. The word is better than that. The phrase is better than that. In other words, there has to be a proven criteria that this is, in fact, evidence-based. There it is. So it has to be an evidence-based criteria that it is truly something that is going to help and be directly opioid related. So that's what we have as of today. And this group here is an advisory group. We don't make any decisions. All we do is we take the applications, we discuss them, we vote on who we are going to recommend. The commissioners make the final choice. So those folks, and we will set up a meeting with them and say, here's what we have discussed, and that whatever comes out of this will be going to them, and it's up to them.
Gotcha.
Okay.
Okay.
So any other questions? I think we were going to talk about Speranza. And again, we're not leaving the ARC. We're just talking. You both have very similar requests. Mr. Harder?
Thank you, Judge. I just wanted to sort of echo what I was just hearing, Christy, from you. When I originally proposed the idea of a aligned project, a collaborative project. I was trying to find a way where we could leverage the funds that Speranza has available to them, but find a cooperative project that would be sort of housed with Speranza, but would meet the needs of the ARC. And that, and my hope, which may not have been communicated very well, and I certainly won't swear that I communicated it very well, was that you guys would be able to put your heads together in the intervening week from last week to today to say, here's our idea. We want you to buy these 3 vehicles, and Speranza will own them, but an employee of the ARC will be the driver, or Speranza will coordinate a travel schedule. Or I didn't know what it would look like, but my hope was to drive that conversation towards collaboration and a collaborative project where the dollars that were being spent could harness this opportunity that Speranza has while also meeting y'all's needs at the ARC. Because I agree with you that there are real opportunities. And I know it's a corporate buzzword to say synergy, but that was sort of what I was trying to seek out, was that there would be some kind of opportunity like that. I am grateful to both of your organizations for your proposals. I'm not sure we've arrived at quite what I had in mind, and I'm not sure what kind of time we have to still reach that, or if we're just going to be limited to addressing each of your proposals when we get there. But that was what I was driving at, and I appreciate hearing that from you, and I appreciate Speranza showing a willingness to take some steps towards cooperation like they've laid out.
Nathan, can I respond to that? So,
It's up to the judge, not me, but yes.
Yeah, go right ahead.
Okay, so we did hear your suggestion through Jennifer, and the problem with that is that through this match grant, we wouldn't be able to insure the ARC and them driving our girls around, and we wouldn't be able to share, co-own anything with them through the match grant either. So really, after thinking about all of that, the only thing possible we have to offer was the 2 vehicles. And I completely understand that they are high mileage and that's not a great offer, but we didn't really have anything else to offer.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
One of the other things we're trying to find out is, Jennifer mentioned last Friday that this may have to be a lease. In other words, in order to get matching funds, you'd have to lease the vehicles rather than buy them. So that's what we were trying to get some answers on. Well, what is the true nature of the grant? I assume that we would not be able to say, well, we're going to apply for money and we're going to buy the ARC a vehicle. That goes outside the confines of the grant. So probably not going to be what we hoped. It's either Speranza buys their own vehicles and they already have half the money there. So that's one thing that we know. What you'd have to do, whether it's buy, lease, whatever you have to show whoever is offering this grant to comply with it, you have to comply with it. So the idea of combining these and benefiting both the ARC and Speranza, it's sounding like it's probably not possible, but it was worth exploring.
Mhm.
So I think we may be down today just considering each individual's request, see what everybody thinks about the request itself. So is that how we want to talk now?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think they need to be standalone grants, Judge. I agree with what Nathan said. It's not what we thought. Yeah, they need dealt with as standalone, each of them.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense.
All right.
And our collaboration can be sort of like sharing like idea resources with each other, but it's just not like the tangible.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Again, it's just worth a try to see, is there any way we can make this work? And it just doesn't look like it is.
Yeah.
And the age and miles on these vans, they're just, if I was the ARC, I'd feel a little slighted. Is this all we're gonna get is vans that we're gonna have to work on immediately? You know, I wouldn't blame them. So the ARC made the first application, for these funds. Um, let's talk about that one first. Again, it's just first in time. Uh, any discussion about the proposal that the ARC has made?
Yeah, I just in general, I thought about this since our last meeting, and I think what you said makes some sense. We want to do something that would have an impact, and the commissioners have been really generous with Speranza, and they received a large grant. The ARC hasn't got anything, and I would like to do something for them. Um, so in general terms, I'm in favor of buying them the vehicle, granting the request for that. I'm less comfortable with the ongoing things. I think that if they can't come up with the ongoing things, then I wonder how sustainable it is going in the future. So, and the funds are limited. We have foundations will be coming back. So in general, I'm in favor of uh, granting funding for the ARC to purchase the vehicle. And I understand that the Speranza grant would allow leverage of the dollars, but they've already received a large grant, and I think that the commissioners have been fairly generous with them. So that's kind of where I'm at right now. Those are the general terms I'm thinking of.
So Judge, you're saying that the van itself, but not the driver, gasoline, those expenses?
That's where I'm at. Yes, sir.
Anybody else have any input?
I agree. 60,000 is very fair.
And I agree with that as well.
I think I'm in line with that. The only thing, other thing I might add out of our conversation, coming out of our conversation today, is that if the ARC were to come back to us and say, we heard you about Recovery Works, give us some startup cost money to get somebody rolling on getting that paperwork done and helping to make that worthwhile, I certainly would entertain hearing more about that. I think it's worthwhile. I understand the perspective that board has reached. I'm a proponent of tracking those dollars down if we can, and if we can help with the startup costs for that. I would certainly entertain hearing more about that in the future, in addition to this project here with the vehicle.
Okay, anybody else? So what I'm hearing is, and I would entertain a motion that the ARC's request for funds for transportation purposes be granted in the amount of $60,000 for purposes of purchasing a new van. I assume it's 15-passenger van. Is that what the consensus is?
It is for me.
For me,
Judge
And
Bailey, are you making that motion?
I'll make that motion.
Okay. Is there a second to that motion?
I'll
I will
second
second.
that.
Okay. Matt Hoying has seconded. All in favor of that motion, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Nay. So there being none opposed, the motion does carry. So what we would be taking to the commissioners, Don and you folks, is we would be recommending that the opioid funds be distributed of $60,000 for the purchase of I assume 15-passenger van for transportation
be.
purposes. Okay.
Yeah. Yes, thank
So
you.
that's what we will do. I'm not quite sure when the next meeting is, but we will get on the agenda. It won't be Monday's meeting,
Mhm.
but we'll get on the agenda and present that for you. You'll be able to see that the opioid funds are at issue on the agenda, the public agenda. If you guys want to come, answer any questions. I think Speranza did that
Okay.
when their initial grant was that they came in and were available to answer questions. So if you guys want to do that, you're certainly welcome to.
Absolutely, thank you.
Okay, so now let's talk about Speranza's request. Anyone have any other questions for Speranza regarding their request? Again, they're asking for essentially the same benefit. they have an opportunity for a matching grant. Anyone have any questions about that?
With this 60,000 going to the ARC, what will our balances be after that?
So
Well,
we'll have $50,314 in unrestricted, and in restricted, we'll have $46,368.
and what we have tabled right now is foundation's request. We did not fully deal with that. That's going to be dealt with at the next meeting in December. And we don't know whether we're going to get more, or do we know whether we're going to get more funds this year, or is this it?
This would be it. We would receive our next payment, if you will, from the state in September of 26.
Okay.
Yeah, I would say in general, just what I said earlier, Speranza, great organization, and they've been given a large grant. And I think we might want to hang back to give ourselves room to recommend other things like foundations, or I think what Nathan said earlier is very interesting. Maybe to give a help to the places that aren't using Recovery Works, but that's kind of my general thought, where I'm at on it. I don't know where everybody else is.
Anybody else have any thoughts?
I
I would
really hate
agree
to
with
lose
that.
matching. Sorry, Matt, I didn't mean to step on you.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
I hate the idea of losing out on matching funds. I agree with the judge. The Speranza brought us a great proposal, and I was happy to vote for that, for the paying off of the mortgage. They continue to do excellent work, and I want to reward that. Respectfully, if these vehicles that they have were good enough for the ARC, then they might continue to be good enough for now. If we were in favor of a half measure, which we sometimes are, perhaps the cost of a new vehicle, as opposed to revamping their entire transportation program, half the cost of a new vehicle, so that the matching grant covers the rest. I would entertain hearing what those numbers might look like. Just as a something instead of nothing, and still leveraging those other dollars. But I also do want to hold back some money for foundation and other proposals that might come forward. So I'd be interested in hearing what threading the needle and an elegant solution might look like. Short of that, I'm with the judge. We have done pretty well by Speranza already. So
And that's what I was gonna say. I agree with that.
Yeah.
One of the things that we talked about when we first started being an advisory board on this issue is we want to be as fair as we can, and we want to support all three of our residential programs as best that we can. And we really don't want it to be a first come, first serve. Speranza was right out of the box, asked for the money that we did recommend that they receive. They received it. But that doesn't mean they get the greatest chunk of it because they beat everybody else to the punch. We want everybody to benefit from this. I guess my suggestion would be we will have a number. Here's what we've got left. I don't want to say no, because we are still, we want to get more details on foundation. So we tabled that one to come back and talk about it in December. My suggestion is we do the same thing with Speranza. So we get more details on what really that your goal would be, what this matching grant, but I think you might be running out of time to apply for it. Is that the problem?
Yes,
When is that?
Okay.
October 6th.
Okay, so we are under the gun. Tabling is not an option, so it is either,
So Judge Day, I think it still is. We would lose the ability to leverage the dollars, but we might still want to assist with the vehicle at a later meeting. And I know that by doing that, we deny them the chance to get the matching grant, but it's not a hard no on helping with the vehicle. And maybe that maybe that might be where the board is comfortable. I don't know.
The idea of like a half would be amazing, because if 25 came from you, we still end up having 50, that would still be, because then we would still get 25 from the matching.
Okay. We're at a point where I am going to entertain a motion from someone as to how we proceed here.
Can we offer the 25,000 with the stipulation they get the Recovery Works grant?
Yeah, we could certainly do that. I think that's what they're asking.
Yeah.
So then if something were to happen where the match was not given, then the money would not be awarded. Is that everybody's understanding?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I'll make that motion if I may.
Okay, so we are, the motion's on the floor by Sheriff Myros that we recommend 25,000 be allotted to Speranza for purchase of transportation, contingent upon them receiving a like amount from Recovery Works. Is that who's got the grant opportunity?
No, DMHA.
Okay,
You have to be certified with them to get Recovery Works.
okay, so contingent upon a like amount being made available through other grant opportunities. How's that? So is there a
Sounded good to
second?
me.
Is there a
I'll
second to
second.
that motion?
I'll second.
Okay, Abby seconded. Any questions, any further questions or discussion about that motion? If there are none, all in favor of that motion, say aye.
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 All opposed, nay.
I'm a nay.
Okay, so the motion carries. So the recommendation we would be making along with the ARC would be 25,000 for transportation conditioned upon a matching amount being made available through the other grant opportunities.
Thank
How's
you.
that?
Thank
And
you.
Yes,
That's awesome.
And
Okay.
Judge, sorry, both,
It's okay.
just for record for Katie, both, requests would need to come out of unrestricted.
Okay, we can take them both out of, we have the money in unrestricted. We actually have more in that than we have in restricted, so that's what we'll do. So Abby, you and I need to get together probably next week and try to figure out exactly how we put all this together. I think for this commissioners meeting, we ought to have an overall summary written out for them. Total funds, total restricted, total unrestricted, what we have, what they have already done, what we have left, and what our proposal is. Because we're getting enough of them in there now that it's going to be hard for them to keep track if we don't do that.
Okay.
So we'll get that put together. Anything else that we need to address? If not, I'd entertain a motion that we adjourn.
So moved.
Motion by Mike, second.
Second.
Second by Abby. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Motion carries. So we will take this to the commissioners, not Monday's meeting, but the meeting after.
Thank you.
Thank
you very
Thanks,
much.
everybody.
Yes,
All right,
thank
take
you
care.
guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.